With Pan's initial interview completed, the police decide that her next one is going to be radically different. She's no longer a victim in the eyes of the law, rather, she's their lead suspect. Jennifer is about to be confronted with a dramatic shift in interview style. Enter Detective Bill Gator-Geets. Jennifer's responses are muffled by sobbing each time her mother is mentioned. But rather than console her, Geets nonchalantly but sternly tells her to speak up. Geets is not only an expert at detecting deception, he says, but is also well versed at coaxing information from those who otherwise try to deceive the police. In Jennifer's case, he spends the next 2 hours gaining her trust. Once that stage is complete, he turns the tables, using the goodwill and familiarity he's built up with her to secure a confession. Detectives were now convinced that Pan was lying, so in their bid to gain a confession, there was a shift in their approach. Police were about to use the Reid technique, a tactic so controversial it's been outlawed in many other countries because of the risk of false confession.
The suspect knows that they are a suspect for a start, so they start off in a more guarded mode. They would have been told that they've been arrested on suspicion of this murder, so they know just how deep they are in. So then, it's a frantic effort on their part to either mitigate or deny.
Enter Detective Bill Gator-Geets, one of the force's most feared and revered interrogators.
Okay. Now, the reason why I'm here today, okay, is that I'm an expert in what we call truth verification. Okay, I'm not a homicide detective. Okay, although I work on a lot of homicides. Basically, all my studies come into interviewing and detecting deception, determine if somebody's telling the police the truth. I talk to thousands of people, okay? And I basically know when somebody's not being straightforward with me. And people are trained to speak in a certain language, okay? And when they are not being truthful, that shows up in their language. They don't even know they're doing it, okay? We have computer programs. And based on what they say, it will tell us where the areas of deception are. It has data from thousands of cases, right? And people follow patterns, okay? And when things go outside of a normal pattern, that's a red flag. And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police.
The officer comes in with a great deal of kidology and pretends to tell her that he knows when she's lying and that he's an expert in lie detection. Now, we know from all the research worldwide that most police officers aren't that good at detecting lies. But somebody walking in and saying, I'm an expert, I can tell you you've been lying, is kidology. But from what we know in the case, it worked. And you've got to admire the police officer for having the gumption to do that.
I'm an expert in what we call truth verification.
Well, wow. We've got every major Reid technique exaggeration going in here. Within the Reid technique, detectives are allowed to lie to the person that's suspected of having committed a crime. But ethically, Michael, he may be lying, but if that gets a result, why should we be concerned by that?
Well, because it depends upon what moral stance you want to take in your interviewing style. And as an interviewer, it's not a style that I would adopt. I think in many ways, if the person wants to tell you their story and confess, then they will do that. And the role is to be able to create the setting in which somebody feels comfortable enough to be able to disclose that information.
I will meet people all the time that will tell me they're a great judge of whether or not somebody's telling the truth or whether they're lying. And often how they'll base their understanding of that is whether the person's looking up and to the right or down and to the left, or if they're perhaps self-grooming, or if they refuse to make eye contact. You're a great behaviorist. Do those behaviors necessarily tell you anything at all in relation to understanding if the person is lying or telling the truth?
Well, that they may or may not, but what you're interested in is the behavioural inconsistencies in the record and what they're saying. Are they saying perpetually the same thing? Because if somebody lies, then there'll be variations in the story that they tell. They won't be able to keep the same story consistently. And those are the bits that you want to focus on. You may use sort of the non-verbals as guides, as an indicators, but you'll then want to follow that up in terms of the conversation that you're having.
You've not told us everything that you know, purposely, okay? And that you've left information out, okay? There's a number of inconsistencies in what you've told the police. One of the things you have to remember is that your dad was there, okay? And your dad had a front row seat to all of this.
It's an old-fashioned style, I would term it. The trouble is with a style like that, if you start off that way, there's no going back. You can't then undo it and try and play a sympathy card. You're stuck in that mode. So it makes it very rigid.